within myself and starting this firm, I never wanted to start with a style or a way of doing things. It was dictated more by a philosophy, and Zen and Daoism were something that I got into in college. When I first started this firm, it was not about making pretty. Part of me also loves psychology. What about people? I mean, we all talk about that. We say that, but how much of it is just, it's talk. And what we lose track of is our mission. And so when I started this company and when I started this approach and my philosophy, it was to always use a philosophy and a mission as my check set. If I do anything, I don't care how cool it could be, and it violates that mission or check set, it's not right to me. When I started getting involved with theater and I saw how you could make the audience look one way, don't look at this, feel this way about someone, not feel about this, I thought, this is magic. Within an architectural approach, it's the same thing. We're able to make people do things without them necessarily knowing it. One of the things with COVID made me kind of think, okay, I'm gonna go back and re-question everything. Part of it has been me spending a lot of time sitting down on my deck. So I'm on my deck as much as possible, just looking out. And one of the things that I really started to appreciate is that daylight doesn't care. It just is. It doesn't make me look one place or the other. I choose to look there. It doesn't make me do something else. I choose to do that. It just provides a base by which my actions can take place. And so part of the Zen interpretation of that would be similar. Why don't we just provide a really good sound base that lets people imagine and just be? One of the things in Zen is balance. And one of the things that we talk about as a mission here in the firm is balance. Instead of over dramatic lighting, IES says 3-to-1, 5-to-1 ratios. Maybe not. Maybe it's just 2-to-1. Maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's a different means of doing that. One of the things maybe we need to think about is spaces that we can just live through. The human mind, the human body is an insanely adaptable element. And I think part of us as designers has kind of taken away from that. They've kind of not allowed people to interpret. They're telling people what they should be seeing, what they should be doing, instead of letting them imagine and interpret and act as they want to. So you're taking away elements of self-will for an effect. It's a qualitative metric that needs to be addressed. And it's hard because there is no really such thing as a qualitative metric. And that's hard for manufacturers to balance that. So what I started rethinking about what evolution could mean is the ability to adapt on the fly. What you're really doing when I say evolving is you're adapting to the space better than you could before. So even though you may have had the coolest, most wonderful fixture and it was low glare, but it was pretty much confined to a static location for a more static layout underneath, and then it changes, how evolved are you really? In regards to number of manufacturers, I do think that at some point there's going to be a reduction. I think part of that actually will be determined by the lighting designer. We all have our top 5, top 10 that we're going to go to like that. And I think those manufacturers, especially if they're ones that stay forefront and evolve a little bit, are going to get taken over. What happens to the reps who have 100 plus lines? When I started this, there was actually this thing called the boutique rep, and they had fewer lines. Many of them had maybe 20 or 30, and that was considered a lot back then. And they were able to do their job. I was able to do my job, and it worked. I would rather have a quality of lines and a quality of service than a quantity. One of the things with COVID, it kind of made me think, okay, I'm going to go back and re-question everything. I started deconstructing all thought processes. And one of the things was that we're perpetually input. So I told myself, put it down. And what that did for me was started to let my brain go places that it hasn't gone in a long time. I've started to rethink how I used to design. I'm rethinking how fixtures work. I'm rethinking standards that we're supposed to comply to, because I'm allowing myself to just imagine all over again. And I think that's something that people had sort of really lost touch with. What impressed me was Axis's vision as well as product. I talked about progressive thinking. There's passion. When we started looking at them and started using them, it was because a lot of the advances and things they did addressed the common philosophy of good lighting for the people. The fixtures that they come out with have thought, and it isn't just for the effect. It always comes back to a vision and a purpose of how can we best distribute and address the lighting for the occupant. And that is what separates them from many manufacturers.